Hello. Since the ancient time, fermentation technology is used to improve shelf life. In early days, we don't have any methods to preserve food items for long time. For instance, if in one season, if farmers get good yield, like good harvest of grapes, they cannot preserve these grapes for the next seasons. But what they have done, they made grape juice out of grapes, and this grape juice was fermented to produce wine. This wine can be preserved for long time. Same thing applicable for milk. Milk is a very perishable food. We cannot preserve it for even for days. So if we make cheese out of this milk, cheese is a more stable food. It can be preserved for later use. In this way, so many methods in fermentation technology is invented to improve shelf life. By definition, shelf life is a term or period during which a stored commodity remains effective, useful, or suitable for consumption. It's always represented in duration of time, duration days, duration in hours, duration in years, whatever it may be. So it's a duration of time in which a bioproduct is it should be effective. Like if it is a drug or vaccine, it should be effective, it should produce desired pharmaceutical effect in a body. Or in some other case, it should be useful. If it is a pesticide, it should be useful to protect a crop. Or in case of food, it should be suitable for consumption. So this is shelf life. Shelf life is a period or duration in which a stored commodity remain effective, useful, or suitable for consumption. Shelf life, sometimes we called different variants for this shelf life. One is true shelf life. True shelf life is actual shelf life of a product. For example, if I made a milk product, a new variety milk product, this milk product I made it today, and after 10 days there is no change in its activity or its if it is a uh, food, its flavor, texture, and everything remain same for 10 days. But from the 11th day onwards, there is changes occurring and the food is start deteriorating. So its actual shelf life is 10 days. That's called true shelf life. But how can I sure that the shelf life is 10 days? Because sometimes it may not be 10 days. I made it today, it lasts for 10 days. Maybe if I made tomorrow, it may not last for 10 days, it will last for only 8 days. So there is a method of estimating shelf life. If I want to estimate shelf life of my product, I made 10 of such products, for example, and I put it in different conditions in which people might have stored it. And every day I inspect the product for changes. Maybe if I put 10 samples in 10 different locations, maybe all of them is all right for 6 days, and one or two start deteriorating on eighth day. Maybe like three or four are deteriorating on ninth day, and 10th day again few more are deteriorating. Even few of them may last for 11 or 12 days. So what is the estimated shelf life? Shelf life of estimation says that it's a minimum duration. What's the minimum shelf life of this product? I put 10 of them and the first one start deteriorating 8th day. So the estimated shelf life is 8 days. Maybe few of them will last for 12 days. I cannot take the average of as some of the first one start deteriorating on 8th day and the last one start deteriorating on 10th day, 12th day. So the average is 10 day. I cannot say that. The estimated shelf life is minimum duration. So it will be 8 day. But other type of shelf life is labeled or claimed shelf life. If shelf life estimated shelf life of my product is 8 day, my maybe I can claim that since for 7 days it will be all right. That's a labeled shelf life. In the you have seen it as a expiry date. Maybe if the estimated shelf life is 8 day, I can either say 6 or 7 days as my shelf life. So there is a true shelf life, that is the actual shelf life of a product. Estimated shelf life is experimentally estimated, and labeled shelf life should be less than true shelf life and estimated shelf life. And Bioproducts are classified based on the shelf life as perishable bioproducts, semi-perishable bioproducts, and non-perishable bioproducts. Perishable bioproducts have very short shelf life, maybe in days. For example, insulin. Insulin cannot be in normal conditions. It won't last effective and useful for even for days. That's why a cold chain is maintained even from the production in the industry to the distributors, to retailers, to the consumers. If the cold chain is broken, if it is placed outside the refrigeration, its activity will be lost. So such bioproducts are perishable bioproducts. If you compare it with the food, milk is a perishable food. We cannot, without proper refrigeration or pasteurization, we cannot store it for even for weeks or days. That type of bioproducts are called perishable bioproducts. Semi-perishable bioproducts have a bit more shelf life than the perishable bioproducts. For example, the antibiotics, penicillin. You have seen the penicillin tablets. We can store it in the room temperature, no problem. It will have a expiry date or shelf life of 1 or 2 years. With if you put in even in the room temperature in a nice place, it will last for years. That type of bioproducts are called semi-perishable bioproducts. In case of food, maybe potato can be a semi-perishable food because for few months it will be okay. You don't need any type of refrigeration and all that to uh, preserve potato. Last category is non-perishable bioproducts. Non-perishable bioproducts can last for very long time. It has a long shelf life without any special type of preservation. For instance, biofuels. Biofuels are basically ethanol. It it has a very long shelf life. You don't have any, you don't have to have any special type of storage facility or refrigeration for the preservation of that bioproduct. In case of food, wheat or rice is a non-perishable bioproduct. It can last very long. So that's non-perishable bioproducts. So perishable bioproducts has very short life, shelf life. Semi-perishable has an average shelf life, and non-perishable bioproducts has very long shelf life. There are two categories of factors which are affecting the shelf life of a bioproduct. They are extrinsic factors and intrinsic factors. Extrinsic factors are factors outside the bioproduct, just like the temperature in which this bioproduct is stored. Intrinsic factors are factors in the food, in the bioproduct, which are affecting the shelf life. So if we look into the details, extrinsic factors, that are the factors outside the bioproduct which are affecting the shelf life, including temperature conditions. In what temperature we are storing the bioproduct. If we are storing it in low temperature, it may last longer. If we store it in high temperature, it will get deteriorate fastly. Second one is gas composition. You are very much familiar with the Lay's packets. It has some sort of gas in it. This gas, most probably they fill it with the inert gas like nitrogen, so that the shelf life will improve. If the gas has the oxygen, it will deteriorate faster. The oxidation will be faster. So that's a type of preservation method, changing the gas composition. You might have also seen it with some coffee packets also. Next factor is relative humidity. If we store some bioproduct in a humid condition, the chances of getting deteriorated is high. The another factor is consumer practices, how customers are handling the product. If they are storing it in a neat, nice place, it may last longer. It will have a longer shelf life. That are the extrinsic factors which affect the shelf life of a bioproduct. Then next category is intrinsic factors. Intrinsic factors include microbial, biological quality of raw materials. If we are making a bioproduct from some other components, if we these raw materials for the production have very high microbial load, that means it has many huge number of microorganisms in it. The product might also have the very high microbial load. That will decrease the shelf life of the product. Another factor is pH and acidity. In general, if the pH of a bioproduct is in extreme ranges, microbial attack will be less. Like extreme acidic and extreme basic components won't easily deteriorated by microorganisms. And in general, acidic components, acidic food products or acidic bioproducts are resistant to bacterial attack. For example, you have seen the bread, like jam, jelly, everything is deteriorated by fungus, not by bacteria. Water activity is another method. The dry bioproducts used to have very long shelf life. Same as with the food, we have dry fruits, dry fish, dry mango, everything is preserved just because of the low water activity. The same effect is there when we are putting this in extreme salt or sugar solutions. Another fact is redox potential. The positive or negative redox potential affect the longevity of a product. Next one is biological structure. Some type of bioproducts or food products, the structure is very important. You can easily understand it by considering the case of coconut. If you have a coconut as such, it can be stored for, it will have a very long shelf life. But if you cut it open, you cannot use it for much long time. It will easily attacked by bacteria or fungus. So structure of a bioproduct is also important. Next thing is antimicrobial constituents within the food. If you are adding some antibiotics or antibacterial components into the bioproduct, it will get resistance to the attack of bacteria and fungus. We have heard about the people are putting formalin in the fishes. That's not a good practice, but they are putting a antibacterial compound. This antibacterial compound will inhibit the bacteria growth in the fishes, so the shelf life will be improved. Next thing is competitive flora. In some sort of food and bioproducts, they will have a like microbial flora within them. This flora can resist the invading microorganism. So we have factors such as extrinsic and intrinsic factors which affect the shelf life of a product. So the this we can improve the shelf life of a product by controlling either extrinsic or intrinsic or both of these factors. So how the deterioration occurs? Deterioration occurs in two different methods. One is biochemical deterioration, second one is microbiological deterioration. Biochemical deterioration is due to the biochemical changes within the bioproduct. The microbiological deterioration is due to the attack of bacteria, fungus, algae, and etc. So biochemical deterioration is mediated, sometimes it is by the protein degradation, degeneration, sometimes it is by another enzymes within the food, within the bioproduct. So the biochemical changes occur, so the usefulness and effectiveness of the product may decrease. Suppose if we are using an enzyme as a drug, so this drug, the enzyme should be active. If we store it for a very long time, its activity reduced because of the protein degradation. The biochemical changes occurs in the enzyme. This enzyme's activity will be reduced. If we have amylase, you have heard about the enzyme amylase. If we store it for a very long time, its activity will be reduced because of the normal degradation and the protein degeneration. The other method is microbial deterioration. The microorganism will when microorganism attack the bioproduct, its properties changes. So this biochemical and microbiological deterioration leads to the rancid flavor, texture changes, discolorations, putrid or sour flavors, loss of nutrients, production of toxins, and gas production. Overall, the usefulness and effectiveness of the bioproduct will be lost because of the biochemical and microbiological deteriorations. So this is the overall picture. We have the bioproduct, and there are extrinsic factors, the factors outside the bioproduct which are affecting the shelf life, and there are intrinsic factors. We can improve the shelf life by adjusting extrinsic and intrinsic factors. And when the shelf life ends, the biochemical and microbiological deterioration begins, and which leads to the loss of usefulness and effectiveness of the bioproduct. So that's all for this session. Thank you.